sexy is the... Welcome to Raw is Jericho!
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Listen up, you blind slapnut. If I can be serious for a minute.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.
The real reason I came here tonight is because we are live!
We are NXT.
It's your time, folks! Sweet! A little bit of the bubbly.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
For life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, it is that time of the week again. It is Thursday here on the Flex Network. That means it is time for the Week in Review show. We do this every week here on the Flex Network. We talk about wrestling. We talk in what went down over the week, and man, did we have a lot of action. Literally, we had a lot of stuff go down over the last week. We had War Games, we had SmackDown, we had Raw, we had Dynamite, and Impact. I mean, literally, this one makes a rare appearance, but because of what happened on Dynamite the previous week, it made this week so much interesting. NXT, and we're looking towards ahead, for New Japan World Tag League and Best of the Super Juniors coming up this week. And, literally tomorrow. It's coming up tomorrow. So a lot of things went down. A lot of things coming up. We're on the road to TLC. Man, just a lot of stuff. But let's get into the show. Not a whole lot of stuff, but I mean, literally right off the bat, as soon as we're coming on the air, sad note, to say the least. If anybody out there who has watched the movie Fridays, at least the first two movies, and seen, back in the, the glory days of wrestling, with Hogan and Savage, that era. You remember a gentleman named Tommy Lister, Tommy Tiny Lister, aka Debo. Debo, or for anybody that watched wrestling back, way back in the day, you remember this gentleman named by Zeus. Just came on the show and, literally saw that he has passed away at age 62 today. Like, literally, that, just within the last a little bit, it's been starting to post around that he has passed away. It's unfortunate for him, fortunate for everyone around him and his family, but it is literally just, a lot of big names we're losing this year. A lot of just sad, announcements of passing aways. It's just sad. Rest in peace, Debo, as you will be sorely missed. Is sad. But on the brighter note, I mean, that one was just a real shock, to say the least. To searching through Twitter, and all of a sudden you see, oh, Debo's passed away. Really? It's like, that just sucks. But we do have other news that we can get into. You know what? Let's change the background of this. I'm not feeling it at the moment because let's just get into a ring. Yeah, so this week, at least we have short news this week. So short news, to say the least. Raw this week, if you watched this past week of Raw, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. That was the final Raw in the current or in the former Thunderdome at the Amway Center. If you guys remember, the NBA's making plans to come back, and the Amway Center down there in Florida said to WWE, hey, you guys need to be out by the 4th of December. Actually, you guys need to be out by the 8th, 4th/8th, so that we can get we can get NBA back in here, start to, transition to NBA and get the hockey back in here with no crowd, of course. I don't know what they're planning on with NBA, but Magic's going to be back in their stadium or in their arena for, starting December 22nd, at least. That's what I have. And WWE has officially moved. They are going to Tropicana Field. Yeah, home of the Devil Rays. They're setting up shop, or it's already been set up shop. And of course, right now they're going to say that fans are not going to be allowed in the stadium. SmackDown's going to be rolling first up this week. It should be very interesting to see. We've seen, there's been some photos out there of what it looks like with or without, how it looks, being set up and how it's going to look. But yeah, it should look very good this week, to say the least, with SmackDown getting first crack at Tropicana Field. And then, of course, TLC will be the first pay-per-view. And then, of course, next week will be the first Raw inside the new Thunderdome at Tropicana Field. And they're going to be in there for the foreseeable future. I mean, with everything, with baseball waiting until spring. So that should be a good, several months right there for WWE to chill out in Tropicana Field. So yeah, it's going to be a closed set with only personal or essential personnel in attendance only. So that's good news right there. And even better news: Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins have welcomed their baby girl into the world. Rue is now, was born on Monday. Congratulations to Becky and Seth on bringing Rue into the world. So yeah, brand new parents right there. Cheers. Yeah, cheers right there to see that we have new parents in the wrestling world. Another set of new parents. One couple more that are on the way. Sarah Logan and Eric of the Viking Raiders, and of course Mox and Renee Young. I'm still gonna call her Renee Young. She's still Renee Young, no matter what. But they're expecting to. So a lot of expected parents on the horizon, at least in the wrestling community. Wrestle Kingdom. We found out that it's going to be a max capacity of 20,000 people for both nights. So that's going to be kicking off the new year. Literally, we are under a month now from last week. The 4th and the 5th. So we're what? 5 days, past a month for the next year. And they're going to kick it off, hopefully very, very strongly, with 20,000 people for both nights on those two nights at the Tokyo Dome for Wrestle Kingdom. And it's going to, it'll be so good to actually see people back in the stands, besides what's going on in NXT, the short crowd, but, amount of people. But I'm saying like a general big crowd, like something that is, you could hear and you could feel the roar of the crowd. And it would be nice. It would be very nice to see. I mean, yeah, it's just going to be fun to see and to hear again. So January should be fun, to say the least. And of course, we'll look ahead to what the card's going to be. Further matches are going to be announced as we know. When we know, we'll bust them out on here. But I mean, we'll get a couple of potentials after Friday, because with World Tag Team League winding down on Friday, we'll have obviously the challengers for the heavyweight tag titles, and possibly the winner of the best of the Super Juniors will get the light heavyweight title match. So a lot of, the junior heavyweight title. I keep forgetting about that. A lot of different names on this one, but yeah, just we'll find out. After Friday, any more matches that are going to be announced for Wrestle Kingdom 15, and we'll talk about them a little bit when we get there. But that was the news, especially for this week. Not a whole lot, just a lot tamed. I mean, it's the month of December. A lot, everything's already in full motion with all the companies and everything. So let's get into the action. Let's talk about what went down this week. But of course, if you have not been watching Raw, have not been watching what's been going on in the world of wrestling, it's time for a spoiler. So, if you hear the woo, we're spoiling stuff. So cover the ears or put us on mute, or at least wait till, skip ahead and come right back. But yeah, we're going to spoil some stuff for you. War Games this past week. Let's talk about War Games this week. It was freaking awesome. Pre-show, we had a 6-man tag. Legado del Fantasma taking on Kurt Stallion, Ashante the Adonis, and Austin Gray. It was okay match. It was okay to kick off the show. Not a bad way. Legado del Fantasma picks up the victory. Don't have a lot of things to say about this match. We get into the main card, War Games, the women's side of the War Games. Team Candice taking on Team Shotzi. Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and Toni Storm taking on Shotzi, Ember, Rhea, and Io Shirai. And you know what? The women's War Game match, this was so awesome. I mean, jaw-dropping moments. Trust me, we're going to get to that in a little bit. Yeah, a lot of weapons, a lot of craziness, to say the least. They brought it. And I enjoyed it very well. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, you know what? The women stepped the game up. Every year I feel like in War Games, you get to see a lot of these women blow off a lot of the steam, get to do a little extra with weapons and stuff like that, that they normally don't get to do throughout the year. And they get to have these toys that they could just, play with and just, use the ladders, the tables, the chairs, trash can lids, trash cans, Singapore Kings. They get to use a lot of this stuff. And it's always fun to, see what they can do with them. And it's always just so it makes the match a little bit more. Ooh, it's so good. But I gotta give it to Team Candice. They were smart in a lot of ways. During the War Games match, they were trying to keep during the match, right, or even before the official War Games started, Iro was kept outside, so the match didn't officially begin. Candice, I will backtrack a little bit. Candice was not the smartest one. Trying to get a pinfall on Ember Moon while Io Shirai was still outside the cage. And the ref's like, hey, match hasn't started yet. It's like, count the pinfall. You had these women just like, hey, count the pinfall. Everyone's out of their War Games, the little holding cells. Count the pinfall. It's like, no, Candice, you got to get Iro in here first. Iro's got to take one step in this cage, and we can start the match. But you've kept her outside the cage, outside War Games, so we can't count this. You guys are ganging up on me to count. I'm like, hello, Io Shirai's right outside the cage. You got to get her inside the cage for the match to officially start. But lo and behold, before that, while they're all arguing and everything else, and, Shotzi, Rhea, and Ember were starting to get back up and stir, lo and behold, top of the cage, here comes Iro Shirai wearing a trash can as a helmet and as a full body suit, and just decides, you know what? I'm just gonna dive on everybody. Coming in like a hot missile, like a hot human missile, and just takes out everybody, and we can now start war games for the women. Oh god, it was just so crazy, and a lot of high spots that I thought was so needed and so worth it. It made the match that much better and more chaotic, to say the least. And it's unfortunate that Candice, suffered a broken arm, or might have, probably got a fracture or something. But she suffered, she got some injury in there. As you saw on if you saw NXT this week, she was, had hand in so, in a, cast, not a full cast, just more like a, taped, everything. Just might have been, stiff and, injured, but yeah, she took a real good shot at, from the top, with Shotzi taking that dive off and landing on top of her with that chair that she just so happened to grab and put on top of her, just like, hey, I'm gonna stop you. It's like, no, I'm just gonna land on you. But yeah, it was an awesome match. Team Candice picks up the win in War Games. So yeah, it was really awesome. Go back and check that out on the network if you can, or you should be. I've said that, I keep saying this, that for anybody out there that's canceling or thinking of canceling, WWE Network because the WWE is so blah blah. It's so boring. It's they're not doing anything interesting. It's because of what they're not what they're not doing, what they could be doing, and it's just so irritating to pay these this money to them when they're doing the shitty stuff. It's like, guys, hold on. Okay, again, you can have your problem with the main roster. Okay, have your problems with the main roster, with Raw, with SmackDown. What's going on Mondays and Fridays? If you don't want to watch Mondays and Fridays, then don't. If you don't want to get behind WWE, because of what they're doing on Mondays and Fridays, and what they're doing behind the scenes, with people getting fired because of probably something stupid and bad policies that are back there, then okay, don't support them. But then don't watch WWE at all. Don't watch WWE, don't watch NXT. But I feel like if you want good action, you don't want to, if you want to see future superstars that will probably go up to the main roster and probably do some good, some bad, either way, indifferent. I feel like you're going to get the best action out of NXT every single week and every pay-per-view. You're getting damn good action every week. Like, literally, think about it. Vince is not in charge down at NXT. He's not the one sitting behind the curtain like, oh, this, or controlling the storylines down there. It's Hunter. It's Sean. It's Road Dogg. It's the people down at NXT. They're the ones in control. Vince is just signing the checks. That's all he's doing. Hunter is the one in charge. So obviously, if you're feeling what Hunter has been doing, feeling like Hunter needs to be in charge of what's going up on the main roster, and Vince needs to be like, you know what, I'm handing the business off to Hunter, to Steph, to Shane. Let them incorporate this. Let them handle this. If you want, if you're feeling what Hunter's doing, feel like Hunter should be in charge, and you want a preview of what it is that he's doing, go to NXT. Watch NXT. This is why NXT is the best brand between all three in the WWE. It is literally the one that is set on fire the most, and the one that brings the most chaos, and is the most entertaining and the most intriguing storylines, bar none, to say the least. So keep, stay with NXT and see these guys, grow and flourish. And even if it's someone from another company that came, check them out. It's awesome. It's very awesome. And to see what these guys and women are doing down there at the brand, on the Black and Gold brand, is freaking awesome. But moving on. There's my normal NXT rant for anyone out there. One-on-one match, Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. This one was a real good match. I mean, real knockdown, drag-out match. This was so technical and everything. Ciampa picking up the victory. I thought Thatcher had a real good run in this match. He was methodical. And he was pinpoint on all of his attacks. And even when he got, I swear if I remember correctly on previous shows, he's had cauliflower ear in his ear. Being a wrestler, at least what my feel is like he was a wrestler, back in high school, or someone in college, he was a wrestler, so he developed cauliflower ear. Well, I think if you saw NXT, it got busted during the match. So you can see that he had the ear busted up, bloody on the side. So it's like, dude, I'm watching the match. I'm like, wait a minute, where did he get busted at? I'm like, I don't see it's on the top of his head. It's like, and he turns like, oh, he got busted in the ear. So that means he had cauliflower ear. So it was kind of, interesting to say the least, but Ciampa picks up the victory. I feel like Thatcher and Ciampa are not done with each other yet, and it's going to get very interesting as we head into the new year. We had the strap match. Dexter Lumis taking on Cameron Grimes, and he's going to the moon. I know I can't do it like he is, but I like this match. It was very fun to say the least. We had incorporations of like their past two, actually their last match with the blindfold at one point, and it was just kind of funny to say the least. And yeah, I liked it. It was a good, fun match to say the least. Dexter beating Cameron, via submission with that somewhat like modified chokehold right there. I mean, it's not choking him, but it was still fun to watch. It was a good match. The triple threat match, the only championship on the line at War Games this year. Triple threat for the North American title. Johnny Wrestling taking on Priest and Leon Ruff, the champ. Damn, you know what? I have no bad quarrels about this match. I loved it. It was a great match to say the least. And we got to see the ghost face appear again. I mean, I think it kind of wore off once we got into November, and then I think it's overkill once we got into December. I mean, come on, guys. It's no longer Halloween. But, we had a bunch of ghost faces Damian Priest had to deal with. And then just as he was about to win, we get another one, clocks him over the back with the pipe. And, that leads to Gargano beating, Priest and Ruff for the North American Championship, becoming a 3-time champ, first ever 3-time champ. And we find out who is underneath at least the main ghost face costume, and it's Austin Theory. And to be quite frank and to be very cheeky about his reveal, and coming out and using it was me all along, Austin. It's like, you gotta use literally one of the best reveals in WWE history, with the higher power gimmick, with Vince coming out in the higher power, and that it's me, Austin. It was me all along, Austin. That moment, it literally, you had to use that as your intro. It's like, you know what? I will give you the brazen ballsness to do that. Clap right there. That was just so funny to say the least. Get as a intro for your reveal that you're joining with Johnny Gargano, and it was good. I'll give you that. And then we have the men's War Games match, Undisputed Era taking on Pat McAfee, aka the Kings of NXT. And you know what? a lot of people want to give bad props to literally McAfee in this game or in this matchup. I think that he does not get as much credit as a lot of people give him. I mean, he's had 2 matches in this NXT. He's had 2 matches. First one to take over 30. That one was freaking crazy and it was awesome. He did very well for someone not trained in wrestling, for being, a former NFL kicker, and obviously doing the Pat McAfee show and talk about NFL and sports on a podcast on SiriusXM, satellite radio. But it just blows my mind how at NXT 30, at Takeover 30, he did very well. Hold his own against Adam Cole. Now you gotta put him in War Games inside of a double cage with weapons and the chaos and calamity that it is with that. It blew my mind to see how well he handled himself and how well he dished pain, gave pain, and got pain and took it. I mean, to face out, to try to avoid, Adam Cole, Riley, Strong, and Fish, at one point, and getting circumvened with Pete Dunne, Birch, and Oni in the match. It was played, very well. But then to see that, Pat McAfee, climb the cage and do a swanton bomb onto everybody, that was freaking insane on its own. And then for him to, try to go for a superplex and just get get shoved off and through a table and not even a good, good real, landing into the table, like you go through back and you land like square up with the table. No, he landed like shoulder-ish area, like up here. He landed like that on the edge of it. And lucky for him, I mean, literally, he was able to land right with this instead of here, like in the neck. Because if he would have landed with that, that would have been real bad. I mean, but thank God he had good hops on that to get in, get to this point, to the shoulder part, the upper shoulder area, instead of right in the, in the neck. Because if you go back and watch that and watch where he lands, it could have been a lot worse. If he was a little short, it would have been bad. But I'm glad he, it's pretty good that he landed where he was, and it was awesome. So Pat McAfee, he may not be a professionally trained wrestler, but for what he's done and the fact that he's doing it with, doing the wrestling as a former NFL kicker and doing it with, smart, style, smart technique, and he's, the spots he's doing and what he has done in the ring and how bad of a, villain he is. I'm not saying how bad, he's a bad villain, but he plays a bad, a very good heel for Undisputed Era to Adam Cole and to, whatever, I can't think of the exact words for him, but he plays a damn good heel. And for how little wrestling he has done, he pulled it off so well. So literally, I can't say nothing bad about what Pat McAfee has done in his time in the wrestling ring. Now, if this was a complete turn, opposite, McAfee is botching. He's, slow. He's, just, not performing safe. He's, injured. He injured, if he was to injure Adam Cole in a, in a very bad spot, and it was, he landed short, or he was, not getting, acting like, bad punches in there, or he straight right hooked and he actually connects, and he's just dealing receipts out and not getting any returning any receipts on himself. It was just bad. Then this would be a completely different viewpoint of Pat McAfee. But to say the least, he has done very, very well for the 2 matches he's been in and for what he has brought to the table. Awesome. Very awesome. And I think he's leaving, if he's just going to be a manager, someone who's representing Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Oney Larkin, and he's just going to be their mouthpiece, you know what? I have no problems with Pat McAfee. He could stay at NXT, and he can help, because he's helping. He's not hindering. He is helping these guys, and he's helping the brand out, and he's getting his name out there even more so. And I would suspect that people that are watching NXT and are also finding and trying to like, hey, let's go watch the Pat McAfee show, or let's listen to his show on Sirius XM satellite radio. You know what? It's a give and take. He's getting some good airtime. He's also talk about it on his show. His time in what he's doing at NXT, and he's talking about wrestling down there. It's a good relationship right there. It's awesome. So kudos to him. But back to the action with this match. Team McAfee pulling out the tables with the Undisputed Era's logo and names on 4 tables. I thought that was awesome, and just a lot of chaos and calamity. It was a very well done match. Undisputed Era picks up the victory over Team McAfee, and that was War Games in a nutshell. Fish is gonna. There was one injury, I believe, that was put out there, that Fish is going to be out. He had to get surgery to fix his shoulder, I want to say it was, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, that that he's going to be out for a little time because he had to get surgery on his shoulder. It's like literally trying to find it where I found it. Dude, come on. I know it's within the last couple days. I can't, I don't think I could find it now. But yeah, I'm just gonna move on from that. Can't find it at the moment. So that was TakeOver War Games. So let's get into Monday Night Raw. Actually, let's get into SmackDown this past week. We'll just run through it quick, as SmackDown has kind of been sagging back down again. As we're heading into TLC, or on the road to TLC next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. SmackDown, Natalya taking on Bayley 1-on-1. Natalya beats Bayley thanks to the sharpshooter. Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Big E taking on Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura in a tribute match for Pat Patterson. They brought out the original IC title that he wore, that he won as the first ever Intercontinental Champion for Pat Patterson, and it was a tribute match for him. Daniel, these are all former Intercontinental Champions. Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Big E pick up the victory. It was a very great tribute match for Pat Patterson. And it was very, done with very well. It was high class for these guys to do so, and also to have the first ever Intercontinental Championship out there on display. for that match. It was awesome. Corbin taking on Murphy in one-on-one action. Corbin beats Murphy. And then Kevin Owens and Otis taking on Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Otis got taken out early. And then technically KO and Otis pick up the win via disqualification. Roman and Jay just decide to lay out KO with chair shots galore. And all of a sudden, after Jay delivers a splash on top of a chair on Kevin, with no chair, I forgot. Roman attacks Jay, bashes him with chair a couple times, and it's like, okay, you're really solidifying yourself as a real top bad guy right now. You are just, you're trying to get people to hate you even more so. But yeah, I'm still interested, with Jay and Roman and what the future is going to have for these guys. It's going to be very interesting, to say the least. But yeah, that was SmackDown. Again, SmackDown, I feel like it's been trickling down a little bit, as granted, we are heading into December. December is normally the time of year where once we get to TLC, I feel like once we get through to TLC, things start to pick back up again, where we're going into Rumble and we're getting ready for the road to WrestleMania. But December, again, it feels like it's like the last low point for the year, for at least for WWE wrestling year. And then everything picks back up to where people are starting to get intrigued. Stories are getting better. We're getting that thought of, okay, who's going to be going to WrestleMania? Who's going to win the Royal Rumble for the men? And then also for the women, it's going to tend to pick up a little bit more because we're going to get the women's Royal Rumble. And depending on what could happen with the women's Rumble, I mean, if they're going to have, actually, before I go on to that road, yeah, to say the least, talk about the women's Royal Rumble for a moment. When you don't have as many women, I don't, I'm trying to phrase this in a certain way. So bear with me. To have not that many main roster women going to the Royal Rumble. If obviously Bayley, Natalya, Asuka, Shayna, Nia, Lana, at least, first six off the top of my head. Lacey, Peyton Royce, the Royal Rumble for the women, I think this year would probably be a lot shorter. I mean, unless they bring up the NXT, which I think that's going to create, a little bit of a problem, to say the least. I mean, think about it. We didn't have NXT at Survivor Series because of the COVID, and they're trying to limit, everything that was going on with that. So to not have NXT at Survivor Series, but yet you're going to have them over at Royal Rumble with trying to, with putting people in, have, people that have not been with each other for a little bit, and you're going to have all three brands under one roof. I think that sets a bad precedent, because if you're not going to have them at one pay-per-view, where obviously the previous year you had all three and it worked like hell, and then you go into the Royal Rumble, 2 months later, and you have, maybe a sprinkling of NXT superstars for the women, for the, for the matchup. Yeah, a sprinkle of NXT superstars for both the men and the women. But at least with the men, I believe you have the you have the numbers for a 30-man Royal Rumble, to where you can have both brands, and you don't have to worry, you have enough people in reserve, to say the least, ready to go for the Royal Rumble. The women wise, I don't feel like they'll have the numbers. I just because think about it, we don't have Zelina Vega. She was 86th. We don't have Sarah Logan. She's preg. Becky's still out. Or granted, she'll be a month out from pregnant. Giving birth, and I don't think she'll be back for Royal Rumble. Charlotte's still out. I mean, here thinking that we're maybe going to see her at Royal Rumble. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people even know what's going on with Charlotte. What she's if she's coming back before Royal Rumble, for the Royal Rumble or after Royal Rumble. So that's 4 right there. We don't have Ronda Rousey. She's still out. We don't know anything about what's going on with her. I mean, she obviously she's posted pics about training and everything, but we don't know about Ronda Rousey. And again, you have a lot of people that were either 86th or 86th or just they're not with the company now. And oh yeah, there we go. I don't know why. The camera's active a little fight. So yeah, again, I feel like if I look into now that my brain went on a tangent with the Royal Rumble, even though it's a month away, let's talk about what went down on Raw. Actually, recap what went down on Raw. Asuka taking on Shayna Baszler. Asuka picking up the victory over Shayna Baszler thanks to distraction from Lana. Ricochet and Dana Brooke taking on Retribution. Ricochet and Dana Brooke beat Retribution. Not going to talk about that match at all. It's just a shove away. We Kofi Kingston taking on Shelton Benjamin in one-on-one action. Then immediately following, Kofi beating Shelton. Cedric challenges Kofi. Immediately following that match, and Cedric beats Kofi. I feel like the tag, that matchup right there with Kofi, Shelton, and Cedric, and everything that's been going on with the Hurt Business and Kofi and Shelton with New Day. I really like that angle. Is kept Cedric up in his game. It's gave him a chance to up his game a whole lot and to shine in the Hurt Business rather than be just that new person that was introduced that was brought in to betray his buddies over here. And I think it's really helped Cedric, especially with this new Pitbull like attitude. I think it has really helped him. And obviously it's showing because he's, getting himself into win situations and he's picking up wins for the Hurt Business. While Shelton Benjamin, he's putting on the great matchups. Shelton's falling, getting beat. And then here comes Cedric to pick up the slack and to win. I mean, granted, it is against a weak Kofi Kingston who just went through a match, but still, Cedric's been on a roll, and I feel like it's going to continue to grow for him, which is going to be awesome with the Hurt Business, and hopefully it will lead to a tag team title run with him and Shelton at some point. Miz, Morrison, AJ taking on Drew and Sheamus in a handicap match. It was a good match. It was a good match. Miz, Morrison, and AJ picking up the victory over Sheamus and Drew McIntyre after Sheamus accidentally bro kicks Drew, and which led to these two fighting backstage and then blowing off some steam and becoming buddies again. Yeah, it's just building for these, to keep Drew and AJ rivalry a little bit up there to where, as AJ is going to be facing Drew at TLC for the title. And of course, the Miz and Morrison, with the Money in the Bank contract in their corner, well, in Miz's corner, that it keeps Miz and Morrison and Drew's sight lines, and then of course Sheamus, being thrown in there to potentially hope, be given the idea of betraying his buddy and going after the WWE title. So it's a good dynamic right there. I've been enjoying that a little bit. Lashley and Hardy going at it. Jeff Hardy. Lashley picks up the victory, with that lovely full Nelson submission. And I've been liking Lashley a little bit more. He's been having a good run as the U.S. champ. And he's been representing, Raw, at least at Survivor Series. He did a damn good job with it. Hopefully we get to see someone challenge for that U.S. title and not just Lashley get put up with these, just random people on a weekly basis. I want to see that U.S. title being defended. It's one of the top titles I think that needs to be defended every so often. So, and then of course Randy Orton challenging Bray Wyatt to a one-on-one match before he faces off against the Fiend at TLC. Again, Bray Wyatt having this Mick Foley split personality mindset with having the psychotic Mr. Rogers over here in the sweater and looking all nice, and then turn the page and you got the Fiend. I feel like, and of course they keep continuing to hit home runs with this with Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, if it didn't end, we have no winner because as Orton was starting to pin Bray Wyatt and looks like Bray was going to lose. Lights go out, Fiend comes out, and we don't get a victor as, we cut to the end of the show. Randy Orton's in the mandible claw, and we end it there. These guys will go at it at TLC. We'll talk about it in a short little bit. But that was Raw. But remember how I said, talking Impact a little bit ago. If you remember Winter's Coming, we had Kenny Omega beat Jon Moxley for the world title. He vamoosed with his buddy Don Callis, and they said, this Tuesday we'll explain everything. Well, Impact was on Tuesdays, not AEW. So Impact, we had a surprise appearance from Mr. Kenny, or not really a surprise appearance, but we had it, was planned. Kenny Omega, and he gave the indication that he may be wanting to start collecting belts. Yeah, I'm very intrigued, and for him to go after and actually have his sights on the Impact World Title. I think this is great business, not only for Impact but for AEW on its own. Because think about this: you got two companies, one that is on a network that may or may not be seen by everybody, depending on what cable you have, what your cable subscription is. You may or may not get it, or you can go out and check it out on Twitch. But for a company that was close in proximity to the feel of WWE, in being equal but yet different, and now going through the rough the rough times that Impact went through, and being where it's at right now, where they're doing good, but they're not doing great. Like, they're like the third brand now. I would say, like, right now, actually, even more, if, I'm coping with NXT at WWE as one, as together as one entity. So you got WWE, AEW, New Japan, and you got Impact. Out of those four big brands that are actually big and well known right now in the world, and I'm sure that and let me be very clear. I'm not hating on any other independent promotions. I'm not hating on similar bigger promotions that are individual or independent that they're shown on TV and everything. I'm not bashing on those guys. I'm just going with what the ones that I know off the top of my head. I was WWE/NXT and NXT UK, AEW, Impact, and New Japan. The 4 right there. So with those 4, you have WWE obviously sitting at top and not far behind, like literally like that much close behind is AEW right now. And then behind that's New Japan, and then Impact sitting down there in the bottom of the basement, not far behind, like right as, maybe a tight close third, a tie for third place with New Japan. Impact and New Japan are tied. So with Impact now doing some business with AEW, I feel like now they're going to bring their best over to or AEW is going to bring their best over to Impact and do some business with them, and the vice versa. You got Impact that's going to come over to AEW and give them some more, firepower, and they're going to get more exposure on a national broadcast level compared to Access TV, which depending on what network, again, what channel subscriptions you guys have out there, you may or may not be able to see them, or if you can view them online or go watch on Twitch. So lot different avenues right there for you guys to watch Impact. But it's going to greatly affect. Oh, and of course, sorry, I forgot about the 5th one, Ring of Honor. I forgot there's a 5th one, but that one, you at least for me, I see them on what, Friday, like late Friday night / Saturday morning on our what would be Como for ABC News or ABC/Como up here in Washington State. So, but again, I forgot about Ring of Honor for a moment. But yeah, back to my original Impact. Now, doing some sharing with AEW, that's going to help them a whole lot. Think of more of the possibilities of what we could see, because now you have Impact's women's division that is very strong. Like literally, they have a depth, a pool of talent of women there. And now you bring that over here to Impact, or sorry, you take that from Impact and you bring that over here to Dynamite, where there's maybe not as much women in the depth of talent. There's maybe lacking in the depth of talent. I mean, yes, they have Evilise. I think she's a freaking awesome women's wrestler. That literally, if you've seen Lucha Underground, she's freaking awesome. And I'm trying to think of name Erika Shida. She, their current world champ. She's good, but I feel like that Dynamite's lack of women talent, and obviously like well known, or obviously it's just how you feel about the women over there and how well you view them. I feel like that bringing Impact's women's talent over to and sharing them over here with Impact and AEW, that's going to boost them up. It's going to step their game up a whole lot. And vice versa with, for the men, you got the guys over here at AEW that may not get much, TV time unless it's on AEW Dark. And they can go over to Impact, do some stuff over here with the boys over at Impact, Chris Sabin, TJP, Eric Young, their world champ, Willie Mack, Chris Bay. There's one for you. So you have a lot of diverse and talent sharing that you can do, and there's a lot of stuff you can do here. I mean, even think about it. Kenny Omega, the AEW world champ, and Young Bucks are over here. Well, who's on the other brand? Who's on the Impact brand right now? Some good brothers. some very good brothers in the OG Luke Gallows, the big LG, and Carl Anderson. Literally a Bullet Club for life. Wait, I just did that wrong. I did it right. It's because it's Bullet Club for life. I chose the wrong one because I had the NWO at the end, but still, Bullet Club right there. You have the original members right there the original members to a point. Gallows, Anderson, Omega, right there. I mean, actually, I can't say the original members, but because it was Finn, Bad Luck Fale, and then they brought in Bucks, Arn Anderson, and Gallows. So they're those guys right there. Okay, but anyhow, moving along. Off of Bullet Club. Nostalgia right there. There's a lot of stuff you could do there. And it's freaking awesome. So that's going to step up both companies' games up. And I feel like that WWE is just going to have to realize, okay, we really do need to buckle up, buckle down, and get serious and bring our A games now. We can't be doing the BS stuff we've been doing over the last decade. It can't work no more. We got to change, and we got to, we need to go back to the mindset of late 90s war. We need to bring our attitude back again and really come out guns blazing. So I think it's going to be very fun. But Impact on its, what went down this week, other than Kenny Omega making an appearance and saying, hey, I'm going to be looking to start a belt collection and, maybe go for that Impact World Champ. What went down to Impact this week? We had Chris Sabin taking on Josh Alexander. Of course, one of the members of the Motor City Machine Guns. Sabin picking up the victory. We had Brian Myers taking on TJP. It was a good match right there. Brian Myers picks up the victory over TJP. EY taking on Cody Deaner. EY picking up the victory on that one. I'm just running down what went down. We had the first round of the Knockouts Tag Team Tournament. They're bringing back the Knockouts Tag Team titles. So again, the women, having a tag team division over here, and the depth of women that they have over here and the talent that they have, share it, share. It should make for some interesting times for both companies. Ty Valkyrie and Rosemary taking on Denona Purrazzo and Kimberly. Purrazzo is their reigning world champ. Valkyrie and Rosemary pick up the victory, move on in the tag team tournament. And then, of course, Chris Bay and the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the unofficial champion, taking on the official champion in Rick Swan and Willie Mack in tag team action, and Chris Bay and Moose picking up the victory. Chris Bay, of course, if you know, he is the current world champion over here in Everett, Washington at Without a Cause. He's looking to now step in, former X Division champ, looking to step into that world title picture. That would be awesome, to say the least. I mean, to have Without a Cause world champion be the Impact world champion and hold 2 world titles, that would be freaking awesome over here. I can envision that, giving Chris Bay a world title shot and winning it off of Rich Swann. That should be some good action right there for down the road. But that was what happened to Impact this week. We're going to roll right into NXT. What happened after TakeOver War Games, and then we'll talk about what's going on over at Dynamite. Jake Atlas taking on Isaiah Swerve Scott. Atlas picks up the victory in one-on-one action. GYV taking on Imperium Grizzled Young Vets taking on Imperium and Everrise. This is a good matchup over here. Grizzled Young Vets beating Imperium and Everrise in tag team action. Get some Dr. Pepper in there. Tommaso Ciampa and Cameron Grimes going at it, and it was a fun match to see. Tommaso Ciampa picking up the victory. Pete Dunne and Killian Dane going at it. Pete Dunne picking up the victory over Killian Dane. And then Raquel Gonzalez taking on Ember Moon. That was a really good matchup right there. Ember Moon trying to hold her own against Raquel Gonzalez, but falls short. And we do know that Karrion Kross is back. Literally should be a very interesting time as he, taking out Damian Priest, leaving a message for him. That should be a good matchup right there to see Priest and Kross going at it soon. We do know that at NXT New Year's Evil, we're thinking that there's going to be an NXT World Title match, but we don't know what's going to happen. Next week, we do know that Leon Ruff and Kushida will take on Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano in tag team action. Should be awesome next week. Dynamite for the week. Young Bucks taking on TH2. Bucks picking up the victory in a great matchup there. FTR taking on the Varsity Blondes. That one was an awesome match. FTR picking up the victory right there. Dustin Rhodes taking on 10 of the Dark Order. Dustin Rhodes, look, I feel like he's been looking good over here at Dynamite over the last year. I love watching him. It's very entertaining to say the least, to literally point out there. Just check out Dustin Rhodes, aka Goldust, for anybody out there. Butcher and the Blade and Eddie Kingston taking on the Lucha Bros and Lance Archer. Butcher, Blade, and Kingston picking up the victory in that 6-man tag team match. Abaddon taking on Tesha Price. Abaddon looking strong as she is looking to get that AEW women's title. MJF and Orange Cassidy and the winners of the Dynamite Battle Royal last week for the Dynamite Diamond ring. MJF picking up and retaining his ring that he won last year. Overall was a good matchups this week for Dynamite. We do know that Inner Circle is staying together, which is awesome. Should be for some good content right there. We also do know what's coming up on the dockets for future for the rest of for the end of the month and into the next year. On the 23rd, AEW is going to have a holiday bash. That one's going to be following the Celtics and the Bucks game that's going to happen on the 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. And then, of course, on the 30th, on that last Wednesday of the year, they're going to have a New Year's Smash Night 1. It's going to be a 2-part Dynamite on the 30th. And then to kick off the new year on the 6th, they're going to have their second night of New Year's Smash. So should be a lot of good content coming up at the end of the month for the Dynamite and AEW. So it should be good. We know next week there's going to be Cody Rhodes taking on Angelico in one-on-one action. Hangman Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds taking on Matt Hardy and Private Party. And funny, it's they're being named the Hardy Party. The Acclaim taking on SCU in tag team action. The NWA Women's Champion Serena Deb and Big Swole taking on Evil East and Dynamite. And then a huge 14-man tag team match as Inner Circle will take on Top Flight, Brandon Cutter, Varsity Blondes, and Best Friends. That should be a huge Dynamite next week, to say the least. It's going to be huge. Talking about last little things. Tomorrow, and it's not even going to be, I'm not talking about SmackDown tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the finals of the World Tag Team League for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the best of the Super Juniors will be tomorrow. The card for that is in the finals of the best of the Super Juniors will be Hiromu Tanahashi taking on El Desperado, as the final standings for that were both Desperado and Tanahashi were tied at 14 points. Tajiri Ishimura was also at 14 points, but due to how the victories over that he lost to Desperado and Tanahashi, even though he's tied with those two, they have the tiebreaker with them. So it'll be those two in the finals. Show at 12, Bushi, Master Wado, Robbie Eagles, and Rikushi Taguchi at 8, Deuki at 4, and then the Young Lion at Yura Lima at 0. Didn't score a point at all during the best of the Super Juniors. And then, of course, in the finals of the World Tag League, we got the GOD, Gorillas of Destiny, Tamatonga and Tangaloa taking on David Finlay and Juice Robinson. The final standings for that were Robinson, Finlay, Tamatonga, and Tangaloa. GOD at the top. Tachi and Zack Sabre Jr. also at 12, but of course the tiebreaker goes to the other two for the victories that they had. Shingo Taiji and Sanada, Tomo Ishii, and Toru Yano, Hiroku Goto, and Yoshihashi, the Great Okan and Jeff Cobb, all at 10. Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens, another Bullet Club member, right there, and Evil and Yuri Tanahashi at 6, and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toa Hiri at 2. So that was the finals standings in the World Tag League, which was awesome this year. A little different, with the timings and everything, thanks to COVID and the Olympic Games getting pushed to next year. And then, of course, we also have a couple, 4 other matches that are going to happen tomorrow night, or tomorrow, technically. Kota Ibushi and Master Waito taking on Tensei Naito and Bushi in tag team action. Shingo Taiji and Sanada taking on Evil and Yoro Tanahashi in tag team action there. Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Toa Hiri will take on Will Ospreay, Jeff Cobb, and the Great Okan in 6-man tag team action. And then Toriano and Sho, Robbie Eagles will take on Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens, and Taiji Ishimura in 6-man tag action. That is going to be the finals of the World Tag League and the best of the Super Juniors 27 tomorrow on New Japan's site. Go and check that out. It is freaking awesome. And if memory serves me correctly, the World Tag Champs will face the winners of the World Tag Team League in Wrestle Kingdom for the heavyweight tag team titles, for the big boy titles. And then, of course, we got the junior tag team titles that will probably be on the line too. But we'll find out more what the card's going to look like in the coming weeks as we head towards January. And then, of course, TLC coming up. We know on the 20th in 10 days, we know that it will be a TLC match for the WWE title, as Drew McIntyre will take on AJ Styles. That should be a good matchup right there. One-on-one action. We got The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton going at it. Women's tag team titles are on the line as Jax and Baszler taking on Asuka and Lana. Women's titles, the SmackDown women's titles on the line. Banks versus Carmella. And then, of course, a TLC match for the Universal title, as it will be Roman Reigns taking on Kevin Owens. We'll talk more about that coming up next week as we look towards TLC next not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday after that. So, but that is going to be it for me for this week on the Wrestling Week in Review show. Man, a lot of things going down, a lot of things coming up. But other little housekeeping items we got to do before we peace out for the week. Let me get a little drink first, just so I can tell you guys what you guys should be doing. Okay, so you guys should be following us at Facebook and at Twitter for your football fans football needs, and also for your wrestling needs. You can follow us on Facebook. Just search for the Flex Network, and of course, you guys are watching us right now. But on Twitter, you can follow us at Flex Network 1 for your football and fantasy football content. And on the other side of the spectrum, you can follow us at the Flex Network _PW Elite for your wrestling content. We're also on podcasts. We're pretty much everywhere that you can think of. If you take us on the road, you can listen to the cast back. If you missed a previous cast, you can go back and listen to it and check this out. We're also on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and search for Flex Network and Flex Network Wrestling for your Flex Network content. I will be back next Wednesday for the NFL Week in Review show with my boys Cowboy Cam and Flex Mike. We'll talk what went down at week 14 and look ahead to week 15. And then I'll be back next Thursday for another edition of the Wrestling Week in Review show here on the Flex Network. I do want to mention now that we're going to have a very special end of the year show on the 31st of this month. Yes, New Year's Eve is going to be a look back at the year. We're going to look back at what went down this year in the wrestling world. Talk about some favorite memories, moments that went down from all the brands, any brand that is out there wrestling wise. We'll talk about what went down, and we'll also look ahead to what is coming up, especially because literally, I want to say that weekend is going to be Wrestle Kingdom is going to be up on the docket, so should be a great way to end the year. So make sure you guys come and join us on the 31st. We'll be at our normal time, 6:30, so before everyone can go out and get drunk and wish away and drink away this horrific year in our existence of 2020. Because as soon as the ball drops and midnight hits, the rule will be set in stone. We shall never talk about 2020. We will assume we skipped the year between 2019 and 2021. We will just assume we skipped the year. Even when we get to the end of the 20s, it's going to be, we had what happened in 2020, at the beginning, beginning of the 20s. All I know is we had the ball drop on 2019, and then all of a sudden it became 2021. I don't remember 2020. And well, I can search it up. It's like, no, you do not want to search that. But either way, I hope you guys could join us in the next couple of weeks for that recap for the year. I mean, we're not going to go back and recap every single thing. We're just going to go back, talk about our favorite moments, and just talk wrestling, what went down for the year, and look ahead to the future. So, and celebrate the great year that was for wrestling wise. But yeah, that is going to be it for me, guys. Hold on one sec. Yeah, that's going to be it for me, guys. I'm going to get on out of here, and I will catch you guys next week on the Shizzo. So, for myself, the SnowMan, this has been the Wrestling Week in Review Show, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
This has been the Pro-Wrestling Week in Review Show.
You got some fellow Canadians.
When you're from Calgary,
Where's that?
Alberta, Canada,
A one-way first-class ticket to Larryland. What is it with you folks coming to Florida? Stay in your own country. This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. Right here.
why me? Why me? Why me? Don't blame Canada. Blame yourself.
Feels like showtime every minute to me. I can't help it. No. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Ta-ta for now. We're out of time. Good night on Nitro.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Well, you're welcome, Jurassic Slap Ass.